So Microsoft and Xbox announced today that for preview members now, and it'll roll out to everyone eventually, you can now return your digital games if you have owned them for less than 14 days and have played them for less than 2 hours. Where was this when I bought Destiny? Seriously.
This
Where
is
was
crazy,
when
too, because if you went to a store and bought a game, you couldn't return it if it was new.
No. This is almost verbatim the exact same return policy that Steam adopted last year. And it's amazing. Like, everyone needs to do this because, especially when you already don't get a discount on digital titles hardly, you need to have that reassurance that you're not locked into this crappy game.
Here is my question,
like Destiny.
though.
Sorry.
I assume that it's only going to be games that is bought digital on their store.
Yeah.
If you redeem a code or something like that, obviously.
Ooh, yeah, probably right.
Yeah, okay. That way it's less shady.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. I think this is something that Sony definitely should take out of their book.
Everyone should. I mean, this should be a thing. I don't know why.
This is going to put a hurting on GameStop.
GameStop needs a hurting.
Yeah. We'll get into that later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know who you are. All right. So sticking with some Microsoft news. So the Xbox, I know last week we had, at the time we had recorded our podcast, we had said that obviously Microsoft had rumored to reveal the Scorpio specs and things like that. However, it was really interesting how they did it. It was through a video through a third-party
Digital Foundry, yeah.
Digital Foundries, which is a third-party tech site, had revealed, and it's actually more powerful than the PlayStation Pro, which, as long as they've been kind of working on it, I would hope so. So just to kind of go over, I'm going to have to zoom in because that is real small.
Yep, you know all about that.
Yep, sure do. I try to pinch to zoom on it and it won't work. Talking about my screen, guys. Get your minds out of the gutter. Anyways, so both systems tout that they have a 8-core system. Both are AMD x86. That pretty much is the same. However, the clock speed on the Project Scorpio is 2.3 gigahertz as opposed to PlayStation's 2.1 gigahertz. So just barely a difference there. However, with the cores, the GPU cores on the Xbox Scorpio is 40 cores. As opposed to, and these are custom cores, so these are actually made by Microsoft, as opposed to the PlayStation's 36 Radeon-based CPU cores, so they have more cores there. The GPU clock speed is 1172 megahertz with 6 teraflops. That's a lot of flops, guys.
That's a ton of flops.
As opposed to the 911 megahertz and 4.2 flops.
Yep.
And the memory capacity, 12 gigs in the Xbox, which is huge.
Yeah.
12 gigs of DDR5 as opposed to the 8 gigs of DDR5 in the PlayStation. Memory bus size is 384-bit as opposed to 256-bit in the PlayStation Pro. And then memory bandwidth is 320 gigabytes a second as opposed to 218 gigabytes a second. That's pretty huge. So that's pretty good news.
It is really good news.
However...
what?
However, I'll pose the question to you both to see what you have to say. Do we think, and I know Maxwell's going to say, yeah, I'll buy one just to throw it in the trash. However, does this matter? Is this a game changer in the console wars?
It matters, yes, because for one reason, and not necessarily for the gamers, but for Microsoft, because from the beginning, they have had the lesser console
Correct.
on the PlayStation. It was weaker. It was still good. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
it was
I got
weaker.
you.
And now they will have the best console, technically speaking.
On paper, yes.
On the market. Is it a game changer? I don't really know what all those numbers mean. The one that stands out the most to me is the memory capacity, 12 gigs versus 8 gigs.
That and the memory bandwidth, too.
Oh, yeah. So it may be, but it's just until we see it, I can't answer the question.
I think this is honestly going to be closer to the 360 and PS3 as far as like, I think the Scorpio and the Xbox One are very close in some regards. I think it's almost the same kind of PS3 and 360. They're now like kind of evenly matched, but I think at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the game developers on how they take advantage of the hardware because... I remember back in the day, even though that technically, I believe, if I remember right, the PS3 technically had better hardware, but games always seemed to look better on the Xbox
Yep.
360 for some
The PS3 I
reason.
think had new tech that they didn't know how to use.
Correct.
Was the problem.
So I think it all comes down to how the developers take advantage of the actual hardware, whether or not we're going to be able to see a drastic difference between the two. And I also think it comes down to Xbox's game library.
Yeah.
So I think this will kind of pave the way for not only new Xbox titles that are exclusive to the console, but also some new IPs as well.
Yeah.
So what really is the system then? Is it the next generation, or is it just a better Xbox?
It's just it's like the PS4 Pro to the PS4.
What
except
about the
it's-
Xbox One S? What was that?
That was
just
the
a 4K
in-between.
upgrade.
That
Yeah.
was a what?
A 4K upgrade with a 4K Blu-ray player. It's the cheapest 4K Blu-ray player you can get.
Yeah, it was literally an in-between. It was to hold you over till Scorpio,
Yeah.
essentially. I think this is what I honestly think. I think that they knew that Sony was working on a more powerful console, and they knew the Scorpio wasn't going to be out in time to challenge that. So they released
All in.
They released the One S as kind of like an in between.
Yeah. Something just to challenge it. Yeah. Plus, they also released the PS4 Mini at the same time. And the one thing I cannot wrap my head around: why doesn't the PS4 Pro have a 4K Blu-ray player?
I know. I'm right
That
there
was
with
such
you.
a mistake.
Doesn't make any sense.
It
at all.
doesn't. It really doesn't. They really dropped the ball with that. Real quick, I do want to say the Xbox Spring Sale is going on right now, and the biggest news from that is Call of Duty Black Ops 2 is now backwards compatible, and it's on sale.
I guess that means we're not going to get a remaster then.
No, but it's the most requested game. It was the most requested game. So now, everyone, let's turn our attention to Fable Anniversary because I want to play that again.
Yeah. Maxwell, do you have anything else to add before we move on?
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
Me again. Phil Spencer of Xbox said that Microsoft is taking an open and inclusive look at VR. So, will Scorpio have VR? And if so, do you think it'll be brand new hardware, or will they partner up with someone like HTC or Oculus?
Honestly,
After you give me your answer, I'm going to give you another little tidbit of information, another little nugget.
do I think that they're going to do... Honestly, I could just see them partnering with somebody. And the reason I say this is because with the Scorpio... This is what I envision for the Scorpio. I envision if Microsoft could nail down a partnership with Steam and allow you to have your Xbox Scorpio in turn either A, be able to play your Windows compatible game, or run double duty as a Steam box, and then allow you to use your Oculus or your HTC with that Scorpio and not even have to worry about making their own headset. I think that's the route they should go.
What you just described is heaven.
I know. And honestly, and if they want to, I think the Scorpio is the right direction and them going back to winning the console wars with Sony. However, I think that they need to do something again that is game changing. And I think a partnership with Steam, it inlines so well because you have Microsoft, you have Windows, you have Steam. Yeah. And I just think those could go so well hand in hand.
There was that subdomain they did last year that was xbox.steampower.com, but it didn't do anything. It didn't go, like nothing happened with it. So maybe that's
that'll
something
be
to talk
E3.
about. But they already have an agreement with Oculus for the controllers.
Yeah.
The one tidbit of information was that the vice president of AMD, I can't confirm this. I tried. I can't confirm it. But apparently, supposedly, he said that AMD is the official VR provider for Xbox Scorpio. So I take it for what it's worth. I can confirm it.
Yeah.
So,